I spent about half of the 2020s hosting a podcast called Delayed Replay, recapping and reviewing movies that came out on time in my universe but got delayed in that other universe. And as such, the movies as they were in my universe came out differently. Some listeners not of this universe even think that this is an improvised comedy podcast. And hey, let them think what they want. It's entertaining either way, right? I'm Steven Shinder, and you're listening to Delayed Replay Season 6. Hashtag 6 seasons about movies. New episode every other Saturday. Unless I say otherwise. Hello everyone, a quick update before the Batman Part 2 discussion. So, I've kinda last minute decided that this podcast will release one episode, like one new episode per every Saturday the rest of this year. So instead of the typical every other week, it'll be every week. Because I figured, I'll be able to cover certain topics before the year ends if I do it that way. And I guess this also kind of makes up for around this time last year having a few release dates cut out due to some stuff that was going on around the time. But yeah, you get this as a post-Halloween surprise. And without further delay, enjoy the show. Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Delayed Replay, that podcast where we recap and review movies that got delayed in that other universe but came out on time in our universe. I'm your host, Steven Shinder, and joining me for yet another Bat-centric episode of Delayed Replay, this time for The Batman Part 2, it is Camille. How's it going?
Hey, it's going well. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, so I guess to start off, I guess you might have touched on this on the Batgirl episode, but what are some bits of your history with the Batman franchise that you'd like the listeners to know about at this time?
So in high school, I spent way too much time reading Batman comic books. I probably,
Yeah, that's
I
when I
probably,
started reading them.
yeah, I probably mentioned in the Batgirl episode, but I read like the entirety of Tim Drake's Robin run, which is there's a lot of issues there. There are just so many. It's like I think there are like over 200 issues or something crazy. But I love the Bat family. Um, I enjoy Batman. I usually enjoy him a bit more if there's like someone around, but I think especially the Batman and the Batman 2, but especially the first, the Batman really showed me like you know what, he's fun. He's fun solo too. He's fun doing some detective work. I think he's just such an interesting character because he's just a weird freak, and he's a weird
Yeah,
freak
so
that
so
somehow
we can
collects
relate.
people. Yeah. And I thought Robert Pattinson was an inspired choice, and honestly, I think
Because
he's
he's
just
also a
so
freak.
happy. He is. He's such a weird freak, and anytime he just doesn't want to be it over Hong Kong. He's just let him just be a drowned rat man that listens to Nirvana. That's what he wants to be in this world.
Yeah.
Uh, so I know too much is how I would describe it in one word.
Yeah, like we've both read a lot of Batman stuff, so it'll be interesting like sharing our thoughts about how this one went down. So here we pick up with, Robert Pattinson's Batman and in that other universe they only had the Penguin miniseries in between, but we also got like an Arkham Asylum series, a GCPD series, so they really went all in on this world, didn't they, here?
Yeah, they did, which was very good. I did not know until years later that they used the volume for the Batman Part 1. They also used the volume for these shows that you're mentioning. and it looks so good. And that's what I really enjoyed about all the in between is I loved the nitty gritty on the street view of Gotham and getting all of these things. Especially in like the first Batman, the Batman, where you get to see him as kind of this urban legend, like terrifying vision, like someone you do not want to see stepping through your home. And so we got to see a bit more of that on the in throughout the the different spin-offs in between.
Yeah, in the in-between stuff, he's like kind of in the shadows in a couple of those things. So it's pretty cool how they're able to do that because like those are like different perspectives. Whereas here it's like, okay, yeah, he's more front and center again because it's his movie. And we even get to see a bit more of the Bruce Wayne persona than we did in the first movie. What'd you think of how his Bruce Wayne was presented in this one?
Yes, okay. So I'm excited to talk about his Bruce Wayne, but I have to have I'm going to sidetrack with a side story. What
Okay,
you were saying reminded me of so especially I think in the 90s, there's this big editorial mandate that Batman and Robin were in the shadows. Like you can't have them in the light. And so the Robin at the time was Tim Drake, who was
right.
also on like a superhero team, Young Justice. And so due to editorial mandate, I think at one point they were going public for whatever reason, Young Justice. They were filming a reality TV show. Very funny, very weird.
Yeah, th those
And
early Young Justice comics were mo skewed closer to like a bit of a younger audience, like than the TV show ended up being. I think,
yeah, it's
right?
interesting because Young Justice and Teen Titans kind of like the tone of the two initial ones were kind of swapped of like original the very beginning and then Teen Titans Go, Teen Titans are like a little more silly, a little more fun, and Young Justice was always like very serious throughout.
Yeah, Young
Um, but
Justice,
yeah,
the TV show felt closer to like the vibe of stuff like the Marv Wolfman run of Teen Titans from like the 80s, 90s.
yeah, yeah,
And the
exactly.
2000s stuff, now that I've caught up on some of that.
Yeah, yeah. I think they finally were like, all right, we need to have a little more of a serious tone, which so during this, they're like filming a reality TV show, and Tim, he's like to the point where I don't think he's even told most of his teammates his identity. Like, I think and that includes Superboy, who is like his best friend. Um, and so he creates an alter ego called Mr. Sarcastic. He's like a bald, he's wearing like a fishnet shirt and like camo pants. It's the most disgusting looking outfit I've ever seen. It's just so not like Tim. It's a really, really funny. So that's why that came up for me because I'm like, oh yeah, Batman in the shadows. If you require Batman in the shadows, then Robin's gonna be on reality TV as Mr. Sarcastic. That's where this is heading down.
Yeah. Funny enough, I've recently been reading this series called Harley Quinn in Paradise. And in that series, she's on a reality dating show that takes place on an island, but also trying to figure out a murder at the same time. And it's it's kind of lighter in tone and than some of the other stuff, but yeah, it's kind of funny how malleable some of the DC content can be.
That sounds fun, and that sounds like a fun way to like include a murder mystery subplot, unlike Heroes in Crisis, which uh heroes are sent to go to therapy, DC heroes, and then there's a murder mystery, and it's like, we can't have both of these things. But that one is
Yeah,
I hate that
I
one
mean
so
I
much.
mean that premise feels like it should have worked, but then it wasn't as
So
interesting as it
bad.
should have been.
So bad. But yeah, I guess the people yearn for reality TV with superheroes. It's a fun premise. Which bringing it home. I know that DC Superhero Girls, the Bruce Wayne in that has like a Keeping Up with the Kardashians style reality TV show. And so that's how he keeps his persona. So I thought that that is very funny. And so for the Batman part two, like obviously this this man should not this man barely goes outside. But I thought this was a really good evolution in the Bruce Wayne persona. Um, okay, I'm going to once again side note. I I know people really like Bruce and like the combination of Bruce and Clark of the Superman 2025. And I hate when people are like, ah, well, Bruce is gonna put on the Playboy persona. This man barely knows how to talk to people, and I'm glad this we're seeing that continue for this one. I think it's this was a good continuation of him learning how to like go outside, learning how to like get out of his shell a little bit and create a bit more of the mask. It doesn't he doesn't need to be like this play like Tony Stark level of like billionaire playboy, but just having him assume a bit more of a persona was really interesting, and also seeing him interact more with people as Bruce Wayne, because in the first one there was just a lot more of it was pretty much just him and Alfred hanging out, and I think when he is pushed to really examine his blind spots, uh, really helps make him better. I mean, that's the whole point of a year one Bruce Wayne and Batman is the fact that he doesn't have everything figured out. He doesn't have a contingency plan for everything. And we start to see him getting better at feeling more, not only feeling more confident, but kind of that confidence being earned and just having more experience on the job.
Yeah, and his connection with Gordon also like helped him learn to be a bit more it would like present I guess as a more normal human because he learned of like how Gordon deals with like his own like family stuff and here we see that like even Bruce and Jim Gordon are friends. Like it's a weird thing. Like in the early comics, Bruce and Jim are like already friends, and they're like, "Oh, let's go to this crime scene." And then like I guess like at some point Bruce disappears, and then Batman comes in. But yeah, we kind of see a little bit of that Jim and Bruce friendship. Like we're so used to the Jim and Batman dynamic, but it was kind of nice to see them kind of be bros and just hang out sometimes here.
Yeah, we also got to see him like literally, wait, especially with everything at the end of the first of Batman, we see him stepping up a bit more and doing more like charity work. So he goes to charity events, and he's still not the best at talking to people unless he knows them well, like Gordon. So it's nice, but it's nice to see like I'm saying, the persona like slowly being built there.
Yeah, like he tries helping out at a soup kitchen and like accidentally spills a little bit of soup on someone's hand and it gets them really mad. And it's a little thing, like it's supposed to show that he's still trying to figure things out, but it also ends up being kind of important later because that moment is like part of the origin of who we learn is in this movie, which is the Condiment King. What do you think of the version of the Condiment
Gritty,
King in this movie?
gritty condiment king, gritty condiment king. You know, it brought me joy. I'm so tired of Joker. I'm so tired of Joker. I will
Yeah.
take literally anyone else. And it worked for me. It worked for me.
Yeah, and what's cool is that since they, in our universe, since they already used Joker for that Arkham Asylum show, like they had no obligation to have him be like the main villain here, so it was like kind of got that out of the
Wash.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wash our hands of him. He deserves to be stuffed into a mini series, and so we can be free.
Yeah, but what'd you think of the way they reinvented Condiment King to make him seem grittier in this version?
Well, I liked the suit, and I liked like the new angle on him. It's he was previously like a private contractor, and then like condiments were like the slang that he used for like different like weapons that he and different gadgets and such. And so, I think it worked. I think it told like an interesting like tale of like the rise and fall and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and he's also like really fed up with, consumerism when it comes to restaurant culture and like the elites like having their own upper class restaurants. Like he has like his own thing, and it's like part of this commentary that this movie tells, and it's like just so amazing that they use Condiment King of all people to do that. Like he puts King in his name and in to be ironic and just poke fun at like the rich and whatnot.
Matt Reeves, the man in our universe is very timely and gets things out quicker, and he makes it work. He makes it work.
Yeah. It was also kind of funny seeing that like, even though this is normally like a silly villain, we still see that the when he squirts like the mustard and stuff, like it's legitimately like an obstacle for Batman because it gets in his eyes, and so now he's thinking, maybe I should have like white contacts over these things for protection. So I thought that was a
Yeah.
cool way to integrate that into this Batman story.
Yeah, have we seen lenses in a live action Batman? I can't
I think
remember.
in I think with Batman versus Superman, the
Oh
glowing
yeah.
ones, but yeah.
Yeah. Boo. I liked it better in this. I thought they looked cooler and made more sense.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, like I also really love how Gotham still feels like really lived in. It feels like it's gone through all this stuff since the first movie. Like they do a really good job with progression of this place and how everyone's reacting and whatnot.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I felt like the first movie had consequences and an impact, and we're still seeing it in the second.
Yeah. Like there's even this thing where, at the Gotham Gazette, apparently they've banned the crossword puzzle because it reminds people too much of the Riddler and his antics. So I kind of feel like that's kind of real though, because in real life there are certain things where people debate, should we still do this if it makes people uncomfortable? And it's like that back and forth type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it also really showed like the spirit of Gotham in a way we didn't get as much in the first one of like, why does anyone live here? Like, why doesn't everyone just flee I'm this place that should be under like a state of emergency at all times. But there's just something about Gotham. It's just a very special pressure cooker that turns out freaks,
Yeah.
both good and bad.
Yeah, one of the perhaps debatably one of the more unrealistic moments in the Supergirl TV show, I think it was when some destruction is going on and then someone is like, that's it, we're moving back to Gotham. I think it was in that Supergirl show. Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah. Things are bad. Things are bad.
Yeah. And you also get these hints of like the Court of Owls being around too. Like you have this assassin, one of their talons tries going after Bruce Wayne and taking him down. And so we get to see Bruce Wayne do hand-to-hand combat as himself, like outside of the Batman
Yeah.
suit. And of course, they
Uh,
have to have Robert Pattinson be shirtless, because of course.
for me, as someone who did not like Twilight, it's for me. But I really enjoyed it. I love like an out of suit fight scene, like especially for Batman. Especially because it helped really drive home the point that like he's not the suit. The suit doesn't matter. Bruce at the end of the day is like you strip him down to nothing and you knock him down over and over again and he will keep getting back up because he does not know no. He he refuses limits. He has like a Green Lantern level of willpower. And I also really enjoyed the Talon costumes. I thought they were very cool. And also like we didn't get like a super big explanation. And it was something to follow up on for Bruce to look into, like have it be because it was in the first and now in this one, just kind of like a slow cooker that now for the Batman Part 3 we'll be able to have a full proper Court of Owls.
Yeah, like it's kind of this thing that pops up a couple of times, but there's also like some other stuff going on. So it really feels like this is a part one of two, or I guess the first movie felt like a part one of three, and it's like, yeah, all these three movies, or however many there end up being, are all one story. You're not gonna have everything self-contained in one movie. This is how we separate it from the Dark Knight trilogy. Like it doesn't all end neat and tidy. And I thought it was cool how they, they try not to tell the Court of Owls story the exact same way that we know it. And the way that they do that is this Talon is wearing a green ring, which is supposed to be like their counterfeit version of a Green Lantern ring, and it's supposed to throw Bruce or I guess Batman specifically off their scent so that he thinks that maybe he needs to go after uh whoever wields a green ring that has this sort of power. And so as he investigates, he looks into Green Lantern Alan Scott, but thankfully he doesn't like fight him right away like Batman versus Superman tries to do with, like, he actually like tries to learn everything before. And what'd you think of their whole meeting and everything?
Yeah, I love being sucked by a little weirdo. Like, he's like, got, oh, well, he does have, that's right, he does have some sort of something in the mask because he's able to watch the footage back in the first one. And so in the second one, um, but yeah, I really enjoyed, I think there's always this like, oh, it's Batman and it's Superman. They're the two sides of the same coin. And I think there's something really interesting and underexplored. Maybe I didn't read the Blackest Day, the Darkest Night. Do you remember the Green Lantern? Brightest
Was
Day?
it Blackest Night, maybe?
Was it Blackest Night? I can't remember. But I think there's something so interesting about, oh, like I said, Bruce Wayne in Green Lanterns and like the discussion of willpower and strength and resolve that Bruce possesses, and yet he's never gotten that ring. I think Blackest Night, he's given the fear ring, which is interesting. So definitely fact check me on that one. But I thought it was interesting that he, like you said, he just didn't go in for a fight. He did reconnaissance, and then once like he was discovered by Alan Scott, were able to like have this very cool, very tense exchange. And um, I think there's also something very interesting when Batman sees his limits things that he's not able to do. He can't fly. He can't wield a Green Lantern ring. And the way that he responds throughout all media is to be like, okay, well, what's my plan? What's my solution? If I can't do this, what are my workarounds?
Yeah, I also think, side tangent, I think that the Green Ring and the Owls, I kind of think that maybe Matt Reeves is a bit of a Twin Peaks fan because like there's a Green Ring and some owls involved in that show. But
Oh yeah.
but yeah, do you ever see Twin Peaks?
I have watched the first season and a bit of the second season.
Okay.
Banger, banger.
Yeah, if you ever go beyond that, like I'd be curious to like hear your reaction because it gets really bonkers later.
Yeah, yeah. That is not a surprise to me. I know that man loves going on rabbit holes.
Yeah, but it's cool getting to know Alan Scott here and how like both he and Bruce Wayne are outsiders and with Alan I actually recently read his miniseries Green Lantern Alan Scott where it tells a
Nice.
story like it at some point they decide he's gay in the comics and I'm glad that they kept that here because we need more of that in mainstream superhero movies. We've had some of it in the
Exactly.
shows but not enough of it in the movies quite yet.
Yeah, 100% agree. And that was really nice to see here. Also, kind of their meeting kind of gave me like a bit of like a film noir vibe. I felt like the staging, like the lighting and the framing was really cool.
Yeah, like the filming technique in this movie, it's so good. Like some of it kind of harkens back to like 40s noir type stuff, but it also feels very now and how crisp the footage looks. Um, so seeing them work together, like trying to solve this mystery, which of course, it's basically a labyrinth for them because they're led on a goose chase and don't solve everything within this movie.
That's the other interesting thing to their partnership is that Alan Scott is older, not as old as he usually is in the more current age comics, but he's a little older and he does have that Just Society of America experience, even though he's mysteriously fallen out with them and we don't really know why. And so I think that's something that we didn't get to see as much in the first one. And so I think someone not just with real world experience, but someone with superhero experience to be a kind of a mentor to Bruce is really interesting.
Yeah, and that juxtaposition with how Batman is, this darker looking character and Green Lantern is brighter. Like we're so used to the Batman and Superman juxtaposition, but th this was like another cool way to do it. Kind of like how in the Superman movie recently we had Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, and while he doesn't look
Oh,
visually as dark as Batman, he has this attitude that's very much like he has like such a spiky attitude that's very much at
yeah.
odds with the Boy Scout that Superman is.
Oh, okay, Gardner. Oh, delightful. Always a character you want to punch in the face. And so glad to see that translated
Yeah.
perfectly on screen.
Yeah, I think he's like maybe he's like one of those characters who feels like he has to prove too much to live up to his name, which is Guy, so I don't know.
He surely is just some guy.
Yeah. There are like these mentions of like, on the TV broadcast, journalist Clark Kent reported on, we kind of get like a little Easter egg there, which I thought was kind of nice to show that this is part of a larger world, even if it's not the
Yeah.
same larger world as like some of the other current stuff. It's a multiverse.
Yeah, I think I think in whatever universe, I think Bruce Wayne, there should be a Bruce Wayne and a Clark Kent and a Lois Lane. Like they all need to be together. I think there's just something special about them being in every universe and the connection and parallels that they have. And as much as I enjoy Superman 2025 and the Batman, um, they don't have to be in the same universe. That's okay. That's okay. As long as Clark Kent's around there somewhere.
Right. Yeah, so what'd you think of, this point in because in Batman mythology we're so used to Batman having a Robin. So what'd you think of the choice that they made for this movie, like with the status quo of this movie?
So I love I think a live action Robin can work. I think we in this one we saw the setup and the seeds for it. Am I sad we didn't get it in this one? Yes. Do I understand? Also, yes. I think a Robin, I'm ho really hoping is that in the third one that we will have a Robin because I think the most important thing that a Robin can do for this iteration of Batman is that he needs someone to help with his worldview, a bit more like Selena Kyle did in the first one. He needs even still in this one, as he's working on it, he has a very black and white way of thinking. And I think having a Robin that doesn't have his same background, and helps bring a different perspective really helps open him up. I think it's just so crucial to the evolution of the character that he gets to, in a way, save someone. He gets to save a boy in a way that he was not saved when he was a child. And also, he needs a love that is not romantic and that is not like a servant and master relationship or employer relationship. And so I think that familial platonic love that he has with his Robins is something that's really powerful and very healing for a character who needs therapy so bad and will never ever go to it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, in Batman lore, it's kind of hard to trust therapy when you have like the
Oh
Hugo
yeah.
Stranges of the world, you know?
Yeah, it's so true. There are no good therapists in Gotham. He needs to like go to a telehealth appointment or something.
Right, yeah. But speaking of, that employer-employee relationship, I thought was a unique angle for this movie to have a scene where we get to see Bruce Wayne at work and he actually ends up trying to chat with some of the employees at I don't remember what they call it in this movie, like Wayne Industries, Wayne Tech, or something with Wayne in it, but how he's kind of talking to some of the more normal blue collared workers and they kind of have a conversation that sort of contributes to him learning to be more like to assimilate more with other people, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's such an important, interesting part of Batman, that especially when he's in the suit, that people are afraid of him, but children feel like they can trust him. And the things that he does of on a more individual level of helping people out, and we get to see this here of how he sets up like a scholarship for an employee, who he talks to, the employee's daughter, and that kind of thing. Like, um, Batman should feel like he is connected and part of part of Gotham, part of the community, and that he cares on the macro and micro level. And especially this, Bruce has isolated himself so much that a lot of this is him coming out of his shell in so many ways and really starting to connect.
Yeah. And I also love how in a movie with so much darkness, we still get a scene where we get to see Alfred do some cooking. Like we see his
Yeah.
cooking routine and some of the stuff he makes. Well, what'd you think of some of the stuff he made that we got to see?
I thought it was a really lovely scene. We we get we got to see a lot more of Bruce Wayne, but obviously when we see a Bruce Wayne outside, that's more of a persona. So it's nice to see a bit more of the non-persona Bruce and to get to see him appreciate Alfred a bit more and just have like a nice moment of like this is his family at the moment.
Yeah, and I also like how Alfred and Alan Scott, like they both have had experience with, serving some sort of, military forces in the past, and so they're able to sort of connect a bit and talk about their own experiences. So again, like not the connective tissue I was expecting to see in a
Yeah.
Batman movie, but it was so good.
Yeah, it's interesting to like. I obviously Batman in the comics is usually paired up with people just for comic book sales or like he's a
Yeah.
loner, but he's gonna lead the Outsiders, he'll lead the Justice League, like put him in there. But I think when people really take the time to really examine and compare and contrast Batman with other superheroes, you end up with really interesting stories and a good emotional heart. Because at the core, it's like DC has really interesting characters. These are really interesting comic concepts and premises, and that's that's the joy of having crossovers or letting these characters work together is being able to have those comparisons.
Yeah. DC is so rich with so many unique characters, Condiment King being one of them, like we mentioned.
Yes.
And I was kind of amazed how they made him like his whole thing, the climax in this movie. What'd you think of like his whole thing, like toward the end of this movie?
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was a really fun and also a bit more it was very more cat and mouse than the first one. It was high stakes, but it felt less of that there's less people in chaos, and so it was fun to see Bruce's detective skills come into play a bit more, and also to see some creative uses of the lantern ring, because usually a lot of Green Lantern users, looking at you, Guy Gardner, kind of see it as a hammer, and a hammer will fit every situation, and so we got to see a bit more creative uses.
Yeah. Like, this whole confrontation is really cool. And we also see, Colin Farrell's Penguin also has an appearance here. So it's kind of like an all out, get the Batman type thing. You have all these criminals going after him because, if they eliminate him from the equation, it's easier for them to do what they want to do. But we all know in the end that like Batman's gonna win, especially if he has this team up with a Green Lantern. Like,
Yeah,
I bet the people in Gotham were like so not expecting to have that kind of help here.
yeah. But I think it's a sign of a good director, even though this is like an obvious foregone conclusion that I saw was like leaning forward in my seat a bit, like, oh, how are they getting out of this? Like, how are they gonna be able to find Condiment King, and like how are they gonna like be able to get out of this one?
Yeah, they have this intense scene in the morgue where they're not sure which of the drawers the Condiment King is hiding in. And it's like this whole thing where they're trying to uh stealthily open up the right one before like Condiment King uses one of his weapons. And it sounds goofy when we describe it, but the actual like actually watching it and hearing it with the score is such an intense scene, like a super memorable comic book movie scene.
Yeah, I mean, if you treat the subject matter with seriousness, like, and if you've got the juice, Matt Reeves has got the juice, then you can make it work. And that's a cool part of comics to me and adaptations.
Yeah. And I also like, after they've defeated him and he's in Arkham, um, when we get that like obligatory Joker cameo, we just have have
Life's Supper.
Jokers saying, "How would you like to do a collab?" And then Condiment King just squirts ketchup on his face, making the red smile or whatever. And that's pretty much all the Joker cameo is in this movie.
Thankfully, thankfully.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that there's at least an implied history between him and Batman, but like these movies don't spoon feed you everything. Like they don't have to show you every little thing in Batman and Gotham's history. Like we figure things out through context clues and are like, okay, this is what happened with this place, and it's just I just love it. I love this setting.
Yeah, I love being incentivized to pause so I can read things and then learn more. Like that's fun for me.
Yeah, like when this comes out on home media, I definitely want to. I hope it comes with like director's commentary because I love listening to those things.
Yeah, we don't get those as much anymore. More director's commentary.
Yeah. Um, Also another really deep cut in this movie was Professor Pig. There was a bit of the movie where Batman goes up against him and he has like the pig mask and is like, basically typical serial killer vibes. But what did you think of him in this movie?
Yeah, Professor Pig always gives you the creeps 'cause usually that's like it's gonna be some gore. I thought like it was tasteful. The body parts were tasteful and it wasn't like too over the top. But I think he's like a good villain. He's like a newer villain. Oh no, actually, he must be like 2010s.
I think like 2006 maybe.
Oh,
Something
wow.
like that.
Well, when you spend the bulk of your time reading like 90s Batman comics, I'm like,
Yeah. I
whoa,
mean,
wow, the coloring.
he is relatively newer compared to some of the other classic rogues.
Yeah, yeah, but I think it was fun to bring in like a newer one and also a bit more straightforward, um, especially since the rest of the movie, especially with the setup for Court of Owls. And so it was nice to have him and also have him kind of show Batman's progression and where he is at right now, more towards the start of the movie.
Yeah, and I like that this movie it has like bits of humor here and there, but not in a way that takes me out of it. Like, because there is that moment where Condiment King like confronts Professor Pig and is like, "How about a ham sandwich?" and like squirts condiments all over him.
Every Gotham uh, villain, every rogue is equipped with um like
E-
comebacks and punchlines.
Yeah,
They
equipped
workshop
with
them.
quips.
Uh, they workshop. They go to open mic, like villain open mics to like work on them.
Yeah. But yeah, so after all of that is, resolved for the time being, what'd you think of the public event that Bruce was at the end and the significance of it in his story?
Yeah, I think it was fun, like I said, to see him at a Wayne Enterprises. We both can't remember. Charity gala. I think that is important to his to the character to have him be a bit more proactively involved in helping the city.
Yeah, and you also have like two boats passing by each other in the river or whatever while this is happening, which I think is supposed to be like the inverse of the boat scene in The Dark Knight, where while that scene in The Dark Knight is tense, here it's like more peaceful and it's like, different people just passing by each other. So I think that was probably an intentional visual parallel, which I thought was a nice little nod to that, but shown in a different way.
Yeah, and I also liked that Bruce Wayne gets like a little nod from a little something from the Court of Owls to help set up the third. Oh, what did you think of that?
Yeah, it was quite an interesting choice for the Owls to leave him this
Oh, it's kind of a
uh,
threat. It's kind of a
yeah,
warning.
yeah, it's like they give him this box. It looks like super nice the way that it's engraved and whatnot. Like, it's got like some trees and stuff etched in it. And he opens it and it's uh what looks like some sort of uh like it looks like a piece of a dinosaur bone from the museum, which I guess is supposed to be a threat, but I did kind of wonder if maybe this is also a reference to the fact that they know Bruce is Batman and that he has a bat cave with his weird little giant dinosaur in there. And so
Let
I
a man collect things.
yeah, just collect all the evidence from these crime scenes. Don't even let the police have it.
Mm, that's a little treat. But yeah, I think the court knowing his identity makes them a good threat because most of his rogues don't are too arrogant or don't care to know his identity. And so I think it tells you a lot about the court that that they know and that they're letting him know that they know. So
Yeah.
kind of some fun tension there.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, I was recently like skimming through the Revenge of the Sith novelization because,
I heard that one's good.
and a new annotated version came out, but
Oh,
I was reminded while looking through it that like the Jedi for a moment, because they know that Darth Sidious is someone with political power or influence. And in the novelization, the Jedi are like, well, we know it's not Palpatine because he already rules the galaxy. And in my head, I'm like, you fucking idiots.
um, pretty cool Jedi Order. So arrogant. The worst.
No, but yeah, the book is great, even if it doesn't necessarily fix every little thing, you know.
There's the
It fixes
prequels.
some things, but not everything.
The sad part is the prequels have such interesting ideas, and the ideas are executed decently enough. It's really just the writing that just really hamstrings everything. Whereas the sequels that start off so interesting, like the 2010 sequels, but then the the execution and the development of the ideas are not good. So truly everyone doing novelizations and such, and I know Clone Wars and such of like, we can do it. There are good ideas here. We just need to dig it out. Just need to not have George Lucas anywhere near the script. And it really helps.
Right. So, was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we go into final thoughts and scores?
Nothing that's coming to mind. I'm trying to think if I have any random fun facts. Fun fact, I think one of the 90s Batman plot lines was that Bruce Wayne was accused of being a murderer and he was like on lockdown. The whole family got involved and everyone was like well, did he kill someone? And then Bruce is like, did I? Maybe I didn't remember. And that was a weird crossover plot line. I don't think he ended up killing anyone.
Yeah, comics can get really gimmicky with the stories they try to tell.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
I
it honestly
mean,
feels like a soap opera, you know?
it is. It's a soap opera where they're allowed to fight each other, where the main part is they fight each other. And that's why I like comics so much.
Yeah. So, what are your final thoughts? Score out of 10, and do you have measurement for that score for the Batman Part 2?
I am going to give it a 9 out of 10 different types of condiments in the Condiment King's utility pouch. I
All right.
enjoyed it. It was a great time. Matt Reeves continues to churn out bangers. Happy to see Robert Pattinson back in that pal. It's what he was made for, you know. Does he want to work out? No. And I understand that. I too would not want to work out. But
Yeah, that makes him
I
more
think there's,
relatable.
yeah,
He's a freak just
I,
like us.
he really, really is. And I think there's something so interesting about superheroes as like our mythology. And I think someone who's willing to commit to looking weird, pathetic, deranged, and just really taking taking the fullness of Bruce Wayne, the character on is very fun. And yeah, good story. Great, great soundtrack. Really enjoyed it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm right there. I would give it 9 out of 10 little piggies. Because that was Professor Pig's like whole
Okay.
thing in this movie with toes and everything. Um, yeah, like this was such a great sequel. It was definitely worth the wait. I'm glad we didn't have to wait longer for it, but now we have to wait for the third one. And yeah, it was just so good. They really moved the pieces forward from where they were in the first movie and continued to flesh out this world. And yeah, DC should just keep doing this, just keep churning out bangers, because that's when
Please,
DC's at its best.
please. Like it's such great characters. Just continue. Oh, and also I really enjoyed the like we mentioned the Jim Gordon and Bruce Wayne relationship. So another shout
Right.
out to that because that was really good.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So I guess that'll do it for this episode. Thanks for joining me again. Is there anything you want to plug, like any socials or any recs, if anything?
Um, Nothing to promote on my side. I'm trying to think if I have any comic recommendations. If you enjoyed this one, if you enjoyed the Batman Part 2, um, I would recommend. Oh, all I can think of is just like the classics. I'm like, Long Halloween, very fun, really good. Yeah, I can't. Oh, um. Even though there was no Robin in this one, I have to recommend the Batman and Robin series. That was Dick Grayson as Batman and Damian Wayne as Robin. That is just a really great arc.
Back in high school, I had a friend who was really into that series and then was really upset when New 52 rebooted everything and basically ended
Ugh,
that series.
it was so good. It's hard to have like a good cohesive arc when, especially because it came after Battle for the Cowl, which was dumb and boring. To have something good come out of that, thankful for it. I was going to recommend a non a superhero, but Something is Killing the Children. I can't remember if I've recommended it before, but very good horror series. So a lot of the same kind of like moody and like sense of place and tone. Uh, just really good. It's basically monsters are real and only children can see them and there is like a monster hunter who comes into town, and her name is Erica Slaughter, and her design is so good. And it's written by a previous Batman writer who wrote like a good Detective Comics run.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. It's James Tinian. So
Ah, thank you.
I think I have heard of this, but haven't read it.
Would
So
recommend.
yeah, I think there was within the last couple of months, I think there was actually a Humble bundle that might have had this and some other stuff. So I don't know, maybe I should have gotten it then, but
Ah,
I can't
you could
turn
probably
back
get it
time,
from, yeah, you could probably get it from like the library or Hoopla or something.
Yeah,
That's how
that's
I
true.
think I read. Yeah, but would recommend. Very fun. Very good.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so folks, check that out. And that'll do it for this discussion of the Batman Part 2. So without further delay, have a good day.
All right, and I did a little bit of fact checking. So the Professor Pig debut in the Batman comics actually happened in 2007, not 2006. But yeah, and anything else we may have mentioned comic wise, if it's different from how it was in your universe, well, maybe our universe's version is different from how it is in yours. But yeah, you can email delayedreplaypodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts on favorite Batman or Batman related comic series runs. You can also find me with the socials listed in the show notes. Go to stevenshinder.com for info on my standalones and stepping stones novels. Also, check out the Saw 2 discussion over at Cinemabies, a really fun discussion with Jesse about what ifs and speculation and whatnot. And find me on Yes Shift, Yes, and Yes related prog rock podcast, and anything else I'm involved with. So yeah, that'll do it for now. There will be another episode a week from this one. I think it's Mortal Kombat 2, if I remember correctly. But yeah, in just a moment, you'll hear my other self talk about what he's been up to. So without further delay, here's my other self. Hey everyone, so I think I've mentioned before that I feel like I haven't been watching as much spooky related stuff as I am maybe expected to around this time of year. I am kind of slowly getting back into watching the chilling adventures of Sabrina and, very slowly getting through What We Do in the Shadows. I'm almost on season 4 of that, and I'm on season 3 of Wellington Paranormal. I think it was season 3, yeah. And I'm also I did watch the second season of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, which is titled the Book of Carol. And no spoilers, but I thought it was more watchable than the first season, but I feel like the spin-offs, or at least other than the ones who live, like these spin-offs, and I guess some of Fear the Walking Dead for a time, some of these spin-off things don't have as much tension and suspense as the original show did when it was, whenever it hit its peaks and whatnot. But watching this season kind of motivated me to get back to trying The Last of Us. I'd only gotten 3 episodes in, and it's a show that feels like such a time commitment, but I watched the 4th episode, and yeah, I think I'm gonna somehow finish the first season in the near future and then get to the second season at some point, so we'll see how that goes. I rewatched the Haunted Mask episodes of that 1995 Goosebumps show because it was the 30th anniversary recently. The 2015 movie is kind of okay. Like, I don't really buy Jack Black as R.L. Stine. That just keeps me from enjoying that movie as much. I can't remember if I mentioned that at all recently. But I did finally get around to watching the movie Beau is Afraid. It's very surreal, but I think it's much longer than it needs to be. I'd give it a 6 out of 10 personally. I also watched Don't Look at the Demons. That one, it has Fiona Dourif in it, and I guess I'd give that one a 6 as well. There were some I don't know if some of the suspenseful parts weren't bad, but also could have been more effective, I guess, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about the ending. I have checked out spooky stuff outside of the screen, though. On Halloween itself, I read a few Halloween special type comics. Like I read what was it? Star Trek Halloween special, where it's spelled HOLO and then Ween, because it has to do with an evil holographic program type thing. I thought it was a really fun story. And then I read Rick or Treat, which is a Rick and Morty Halloween special comic, which is fun enough. It's basically what you'd expect from the property. I do feel like I'm at a point where I'm kind of losing patience for how condescending Rick can get. And I can't remember if he felt as much like that in the recent season of the show, or if it's mainly in the comics where I'm noticing this sort of thing. But yeah, something to keep an eye out for, I guess. I also read the Army of Darkness Halloween special, which was fun because of the ghost pirate factor, but I really dislike the way Ash's characterization has evolved in the franchise. He's become really idiotic and pervy, and I'm kind of like over that aspect. So it was somewhat fun, but there's some things that like really bother me in some of these Army of Darkness comics. I also read the Gargoyles Halloween special, the first Gargoyles comic I've ever read. I have some others, which I'm curious to see how Greg Weisman continued that property in comics. So yeah, it was a really fun, lighthearted Halloween fun, that one. And I've read like a few other Archie comics related things, but yeah, I didn't get to read quite as much as I thought I would, because I went to my friend's annual pirate themed Halloween party. It was fun. There was food, drinks, karaoke. So yeah, and I was dressed as R2D2. Well, not quite, but sort of inspired by it. I kind of had my shirt was a blue shirt with an AT-AT or AT-AT schematics thing, and I wore a white jacket or sweater type thing, and put the eye patch on my forehead, so it's kind of like R2D2's eye. And I also got this little stuffed flamingo thing, like this stuffed animal toy flamingo, and instead of a parrot, because it was the only bird toy thing I could find at the store. But yeah, that reminds me, I did watch Star Wars Visions Volume 3. I watched it in Japanese, haven't watched it in English yet, but it is another really good volume. There was a moment that I knew right away was an homage to that Darth Vader scene in Back to the Future. But yeah, definitely want more of this, more of unfamiliar characters. And I know I think there's like supposed to be a spin-off or something continuing one of these story threads. But yeah, Star Wars Visions, it really is a blessing that we still get that type of content amidst everything. I also listened to a Halloween themed Doctor Who audio anthology. I think it's called Sea Smoke and Other Stories. And I really enjoyed it. I do kind of want to hear more of John Colshaw's take on the 12th Doctor, him doing that voice, to really have a verdict on how I feel about his take on the 12th Doctor. And yeah, there are of course other different doctors and characters depending on the story. But there was also a recent announcement that Doctor Who will return on television in Christmas 2026. So quite a huge gap from the finale a few months ago, maybe almost half a year ago now, or how long ago is that? I don't even know anymore. But yeah, it's comforting to know that there's a concrete release date for when it'll be back. Apparently there's also like the partnership between BBC and Disney over global streaming and whatnot is not going to be moving forward. I think it continues with the spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea, which I thought was coming out next year, but I saw something saying it might be later this year. I don't know if like December or what, but I would think there'd be a release date, but I don't know. But yeah, looks like the partnership is over, and it really does feel like Disney didn't know what to do with Doctor Who. It feels like they didn't promote it as much as they do some of their other stuff. And I saw a Deadline article saying that they kind of regretted taking on Doctor Who. I do kind of wonder if maybe the change in leadership again at Disney might be a factor. They agreed to this deal and then the change happened, and there were some different feelings. But this Deadline article, and I think there is something to the article I read where apparently one of the things posited was that perhaps Disney might feel that it's tough to sell Doctor Who with how progressive it is, and with the country, the US being the way that it is now. I think there is something to that, pretty much based on how Disney have reacted with certain Pixar things as of late in the past year or so. So maybe it's a good thing that the partnership is ending. I don't know if there will be some other streaming partnership. Like, I definitely think Disney needs to do better. Like, sometimes it feels like they do things when it's like inclusivity, when it's more convenient for them. But on that note, I guess I'll end with my thoughts on the latest South Park episode, which is also a Halloween episode, and no spoilers, but I quite like how this episode, they still continue the political stuff inspired by current and recent events, but they also have a plot that focuses on the boys, the main boy characters in South Park, most of them anyway, addressing how it's very meta, leaning on the fourth wall, being like, South Park sucks now because of all the political stuff that's been affecting us, and like we haven't really been able to do as much stuff, and really showing that they listened to the fans who are tired of the political stuff and who want the boys to be featured more than they have been recently, but still doubling down on like, yeah, they're still gonna do the political storyline because it's it's their commentary, their satire on it. And I've been saying recently that people need to either get used to South Park doing this every episode from now on for the next I guess 3 years maybe, or else just stop watching if they can't take that sort of thing, which I'm glad that South Park aren't just giving in to the fans. And what's funny is they didn't give in to the fans during the Tegrity Farms years, when Tegrity Farms was such a huge setting, a prominent setting on the South Park show, and fans, myself included, were really annoyed with it, but they just kept doubling down on it despite showing how self-aware they were about it within the show. And now that they've recently finally gotten rid of Tegrity Farms, it's at a time when certain fans want them to stop doing this bit that they're doing with the political stuff, which I think is so funny. But yeah, I don't know, but I'm really enjoying what South Park's been doing. I think it's really weird to me how reactionary some of the fans are over them being topical, when that's always what South Park's been like. I have seen some fans here and there say that they feel that the way that it's been done is lazy, these recent episodes, which I guess I could kind of see where they're coming from, but it still works for me the way it's being done. But yeah, that's it for me from now. This podcast will be back next Saturday, so without further delay, have a good day.